As it has been said, a dog that refuses to hear the voice of caution will follow the dead corpse into the grave. Our story today is not about a stubborn dog. Rather, it's about Oti, a young man who lived in a small village surrounded by beautiful lakes and rivers. Because the land was bounded by rivers and lakes on all sides, the people of the village worshipped the water spirit and prayed to her yearly for protection and for the safety of their crops and lands. But you see, the village was blessed with fertile lands, abundant wildlife, and lots of fishes. The fishermen, farmers, hunters, and indeed everyone in the land was blessed and enjoyed the good things of the land. However, there was only one rule, which was that the villagers could not eat a certain species of fish, which was known as the most beautiful fish in the river. These fishes were rare, but anyone who found them had to return them to the river to avoid the wrath of the water spirits. For years, the land dwellers respected this rule, and there was peace and prosperity in the land. However, when Oti came of age, he left his parents and his own village and decided to settle in this prosperous village. As a foreigner, he was told of the taboos and rules that the villagers held sacred, and he was warned never to eat of the sacred fish. However, Oti was a man who liked to test fate, and he never believed in the sacredness of anything. One day, he went to the river and cast his net into the waters, and he pulled out his net. When he pulled out his net, he caught an array of fishes and prawns and octopus and crayfish and sea creatures. But he also caught the sacred fish that the villagers had warned him not to eat. To Oti, it made no sense that he would have to return a perfectly good fish to the sea simply because of some stupid religious belief held by some primitive villagers. For this reason, Oti took the fish home, and having sold off the other fishes that he had caught that day, he killed the sacred fish and boiled it in a pot and made fish pepper soup out of it. When he had eaten to his satisfaction, he slept off. But by the time he woke up the next morning, he found himself covered in scales. Oti was immediately terrified. He tried everything to get the scales off his body, to no avail. Because of the scales on his body, he could not go out during the day for fear of what people might say and do to him. Hence, he was stuck in the house and went out only at night in search of food. Soon, however, the villagers began to suffer for Oti's actions. The plants began to wither, land started to dry up, and the villagers were confused. They appealed to the king for help. The king consulted the priest, who asked for all the villagers to gather at the village square for a meeting. Every villager, young or old, was to be present. When the time for the meeting came, everyone except Oti gathered at the village square. The priest took count and soon discovered Oti's absence. Thus, while the villagers deliberated on the cause of the issue in the land, the king's guards were sent to find Oti and bring him to the village square by force. When the king's guard reached Oti's home, they searched and were surprised to find him hiding in the roof, covered in scales. As soon as they brought him before the villagers at the village square, and the priest laid his eyes on Oti's scaled body, the priest immediately dismissed the rest of the villagers and ordered that Oti be brought before the king. who demanded to know how Oti developed the scales on his body. Since Oti refused to speak up, even under the pain of torture, the priest decided to inquire of the water spirit to know the reason behind Oti's condition. It was then revealed to the priest that Oti had desecrated the land by eating the sacred fish, and that the scales on his body was the punishment for his actions. Now, the only way to cleanse the land of the doom brought on by Oti's actions was by getting rid of Oti, who was the cause of the evil. Following this, Oti was taken to the riverside, where the priest called forth the mermaid spirits and pleaded with her to cleanse the land and do what she liked with Oti. Now, seeing that Oti was a fine man, the mermaid spirit decided to punish him with a fate like no other. For Oti's impunity, she turned him into a merman and made him her husband by force, keeping him underwater with her for the rest of his life. Sometimes, people say that whenever the sea becomes turbulent, it is Oti trying to break free from the watery prison that he has been forced to endure all these years. So, here's the moral of this story. Respect the rules of the places you find yourself in, especially if you're a foreigner. No matter how stupid or dumb or silly the rule sounds, rules are meant to protect the interest of the people within that community. Learn to respect people, learn to respect their rules, learn to respect their wishes. Drop a comment to let me know what other lessons you have learned from this story. And please kindly subscribe if you haven't subscribed to this channel. It will help support me to make better content. It will help encourage me to make better content. Whenever I see a new subscriber, it gives me so much joy and so much motivation. Thank you so much for sticking around, and until next time, goodbye and remain blessed.